Taiwan, Tzu Chi volunteers provide 3,000 boxes of daily supplies to the disadvantaged families. Community residents in Hong Kong are invited to honor the Buddha through a mobile altar and embrace vegetarianism on Buddha Day.
歡迎收睇DaAi Headlines，我係 Ruby 我哋一齊嚟睇下今日嘅內容。The pandemic outbreak in Taiwan are especially hot in Taipei and New Taipei City. Concerning that the lives of disadvantaged people will be impacted, Tzu Chi Foundation sent 3,000 boxes of daily supplies to the Social Welfare Department in Sanchong, which were then delivered to the families in need, so that they do not need to go out to shop.
督导，请问一下，我们今天拿什么东西给个案啊？
我们今天拿慈济的物资箱。
During the severe pandemic, people living in high-risk areas are worried that there will be a risk when going out to buy daily necessities. Therefore, Tzu Chi Foundation prepared 3,000 boxes of daily supplies for the needy.
有白米、干粮、面条、罐头。这户人家妈妈。
In the family I'm going to, the mother has to take care of a disabled father-in-law, the injured father, and 2 young children. Under the pandemic outbreak, people are scared, and going out is not so convenient.
这么的方便。
On a hot day, social workers carry supplies back and forth and rest on the ground. The daily supplies boxes contain staple food, seasonings, and blessing letters from Master Deng Yan. The letter says, "At this moment, what everyone needs most is a stable heart." Tzu Chi volunteers have sent a box of daily supplies to them so that everyone can stay at home with peace of mind.
There are not only a lot of materials for the people's livelihood, but also spiritual books to enrich their minds. So thank you very much. Tzu Chi volunteers have mobilized a lot of supplies in a short period of time. We also asked the social worker of the Social Welfare Center to deliver supplies to the families in need.
Boxes of supplies are like rain in times of drought. During the pandemic, it is hope we can get through the difficult time together.
Amid the pandemic outbreak, not only the medical staff are at high risk, but also the police and law enforcement personnel on duty are also risky. Kaohsiung Tzu Chi volunteers made protective face shields for them, doing their best to protect the people's nanny.
Carefully count the quantity to be distributed to each branch.
1250磅。师傅会不会很重啊？
相当重，因为都是真材实料的。
They are from the love of the Tzu Chi volunteers in Kaohsiung. They provide 2,850 face shields to be donated to the Criminal Investigation Bureau and police stations.
The job of the police covers a wide spectrum. There are also many types of reports from the public. Thank you, Tzu Chi Police Association, for staying with us on the front line.
在执行搜索啊
When we perform searching of suspects and arrests, we must approach our objects at close range. However, the health status of the subject is actually unknown to us beforehand.
无从得知。
Law enforcement officers will protect face shields to add much protection when on duty.
警察同仁的关心跟祝福。
Protect themselves and continue to serve the people.
Apart from protective face shields, an electronic company also donated 800,000 pairs of dust-free gloves to Tzu Chi for onward distribution to the police to ensure their safety when they are on duties, especially when they maintain order and persuade people to wear masks.
With the outbreak of pandemic, police on duty are at increased risk and protective equipment is necessary. A large truck loaded with supplies arrived. 800,000 pairs of dust-free gloves were donated by United Microelectronics Corporation. Tzu Chi assisted with the distribution. Before opening the box of gloves sent from UMC company, Tzu Chi volunteers will disinfect it outside of each box to ensure hygiene and safety.
一箱18。
Each bag is vacuum packaged to prevent bacteria contamination.
There are a total of 1,600 boxes of 800,000 pairs, which will be assembled in the Bada warehouse first. They come in many sizes, extra large, medium, small. We hope to classify more clearly so that it can be distributed more smoothly.
This is part of the manufacturing process of electronic products. This glove itself is very clean. Its cleanness and safety are no problem. Police officers also feel it is suitable for their use.
After the local outbreak of the pandemic, the company's lab was stimulated, later joining with Tzu Chi to deliver pandemic prevention materials to those in need.
Besides the police, the frontline healthcare workers are in need of anti-epidemic materials. The Tzu Chi Foundation, Tzu Chi volunteers and private organizations donated anti-epidemic supplies to Taipei Tzu Chi Hospital to express their support and encouragement for healthcare workers.
Boxes of anti-pandemic materials were being transferred out of the warehouse. These are the PPEs provided by the Tzu Chi Foundation for frontline anti-pandemic personnel in Taipei Tzu Chi Hospital.
There are 5,000 pieces of protective clothing, which are commonly known as bunny suits, and another 5,000 pieces of waterproof isolation gowns. These are what we currently need in large quantities for pandemic prevention.
Taipei Tzu Chi Hospital currently has 5 designated wards, plus the intensive care unit, which consumes more than 500 sets of pandemic prevention materials every day.
This mask we need to use a lot in one day, not to mention other isolation gowns like the N95 mask. Its price has been increasing and its supply is still unstable. So I'm very grateful to the Tzu Chi Foundation, which is definitely our strongest supporter.
Although Tzu Chi volunteers are unable to come to the hospital to assist, they are still concerned about the safety of frontline medical personnel and specially purchased protective face shields to be given to the hospital. Tzu Chi Hospital also received disposable protective clothing and masks from other parties, conveying the love and care from all walks of life in the midst of the pandemic.
To prevent the spread of the pandemic, the 33rd Army Chemical Corps has supported Taipei City's disinfection. For more than 10 days, about 100 personnel from the Chemical Corps have been dispatched every day to carry out disinfection according to the footprints of the patients contracted with COVID, as well as the screening stations, MRT stations, train stations, and high-speed rail stations. They wear thick protective clothing under high temperature and are tightly wrapped. They also need to carry a sterilizer which weighs 25 kilograms on their backs. They have tried very hard just to safeguard people's health. Let's meet these heroes of the epidemic preventions.
This time we need to raise to level 3 epidemic alert.
Amid domestic outbreak, the hotspot of the pandemic is in the Wanhua district of Taipei City. In public areas where there are footprints of confirmed cases and crowds of people, the Taipei City government has joined forces with the 33rd Army Chemical Corps to carry out large-scale disinfection for epidemic prevention.
The current time is nearly 12 noon. The Chemical Corps, the National Army, have just finished their morning duties. They are equipped with very heavy and thick protective clothing. They're going to return to the temporary rest area. I will take you to meet these heroes behind the scenes.
When entering high-risk areas, the protective measures should be sufficient. Even the tape at the clothing interface has to be torn off with force. After the duty is over, the corps have to spray alcohol all over their body before taking off the equipment. Under the high temperature of more than 30 degrees Celsius, the chemical corps are wrapped in airtight. After unloading the anti-epidemic equipment, their hair is totally soaked with sweat, while there are obvious marks on their face after taking off the masks.
Sweating makes it uncomfortable. The other thing is my skin. Girls like me are prone to have acne because I have to wear a mask all the time.
For the males, they are covered with sweat and body odor. After several days of disinfection and repeated sprays of alcohol, their hands are extremely uncomfortable.
We need to wear a mask every day, so it's stuffy. My hands get eczema, yet I haven't sought medical treatment yet.
The chemical corps have not gone home for more than 10 days already. They have to carry out their duties at least 3 times a day to safeguard the health and safety of the Taiwanese.
My parents have reminded me to pay attention to my own safety.
But I am very proud and think it's worth it to make the public feel at ease.
It is indeed a hard job, but I think being in the Army Force has been a very meaningful thing.
The chemical corps are once again fully armed, carrying a 25-kilogram aerosol sterilizer, and begin to perform their duties again. They shuttle back and forth MRT stations and continue to fight against the virus.
We cooperate with the Taipei city government. Currently, we focus on 3 categories to carry out: disinfection, which are the screening stations, the anti-epidemic trucks of the fire department, and the 10 major spots designated by the Department of Environmental Protection. Every day we dispatch an average of almost 100 personnel.
Sometimes they set off at 5 o'clock in the morning and can only rest at 6 or 7 o'clock in the evening, just to eliminate every possible risk. They continue to safeguard everybody at the front line. They are chemical corps. They are also the heroes of the epidemic prevention.
In Hong Kong, on Buddha Day, Tzu Chi volunteers held small-scale ceremonies in the community and the newly renovated Taiwanese office, inviting the public to honor the Buddha and also go vegetarian to protect all living beings.
Tzu Chi's Taiwan liaison office, after several months of renovation, has a new look. Volunteers held a small-scale Buddha Day ceremony in compliance with the government's anti-epidemic regulations.
I'm very happy. I haven't seen Tzu Chi brothers and sisters for more than 2 years, and this place is renovated and has a new look. The whole ceremony was very solemn.
The Buddha altar was elegant and simple. Through paying respect to the Buddha, everyone purified their mind and sent sincere blessings to the world.
I wish the pandemic in Taiwan will gradually stabilize and people all over the world will have a peaceful and stable life.
Besides, in the community, volunteers brought the mobile altar into the Wenhao Mansion. Ma Kinping needs to take care of his son who has limited mobility, so he cannot go out. He didn't expect volunteers would bring the Buddha to his home.
On the Buddha Day, as I needed to take care of my son, I could not go out to join the Buddha Day ceremony, but Tzu Chi brothers and sisters brought the Buddha to my home. I'm very touched.
In the past, the Buddha Day ceremony consisted of going to the Buddha and receiving fragrant flowers. This year, it was changed to embracing vegetarianism with sincerity. Volunteers set up a mobile altar in a vegetarian restaurant, inviting the public to protect all living beings.
I found that going meatless can reduce carbon emission and the temperature of the earth can be lowered, so I decided to go vegetarian all the time.
I was a meat lover before, but because I got sick 2 years ago and had a major operation, I've been going vegetarian for more than 2 years now, and I will continue to embrace vegetarianism. I also hope that young people can go meatless like me, then they will realize their physical strength will become better.
Paying respect to the Buddha is not limited to the venue. By bearing a pious mind, every day is a good day to honor the Buddha.
In Johor Bahru, Malaysia, since 2014, Tzu Chi has been caring for an elderly couple who are over 80 years old and have no children. Early this year, the grandpa passed away due to illness, leaving behind the lonely grandma. Tzu Chi volunteers continue to accompany her and arrange for a team of doctors to check her health. Grandma was very touched and decided to donate part of the insurance money left by the grandpa to Tzu Chi, hoping to continue her love for the grandpa.
In the huge room, only Grandma Pek Zeng was left alone. Tzu Chi volunteers came to visit her. Volunteers taught Grandma how to operate the radio so that it could fill the time when no one with her after her husband passed away.
Her husband just passed away, so our charity team will come to care for her every day or every other day. We want to give her spiritual support. Although we can't come every day, we can comfort her by contacting her on the phone.
Tzu Chi is very good. Volunteers are very enthusiastic, and they still come to care about me from time to time. If they are not available, they will give me a call to support me.
Tima volunteers also pay a regular visit to her.
Because she is over 80 years old and lives alone. After her husband passed away, she had no idea what to do, nor would she disturb her relatives and friends. I'm very grateful for Tzu Chi volunteers to care for her, even if the client is no longer there. They continue to care for his wife.
Grandma Petan has no children to rely on. After her husband passed away, it was Tzu Chi volunteers who came to accompany her. Now she wants to use her ability to help more people in need.
I want to do good deeds and help others. Now I don't consume much by myself. I think my expenses are enough, so I want to donate the extra insurance money to Tzu Chi.
After losing her beloved one, Grandma Petan took advantage of her limited life to do good and make her life more meaningful.
Children are the hope for the future, which means the quality of their education should be a top priority. Unfortunately, in many of the remote areas of Taiwan, there are many dangerous schools due to the age of their constructions as well as the impact of natural disasters such as earthquakes. Like, after the 9/21 earthquake, many school buildings were destroyed, leading the Tzu Chi Foundation to launch Project Hope and Project Hope of Disaster Risk Reduction to rebuild schools all over Taiwan.
Here we see the Chinese Diablo flying the air as these two classmates are working in perfect harmony. This is Miaoli County's Daochao Junior High School, which is 53 years old. The area has a low birth rate. It's located in a remote region as the school's only way to survive was developing unique skills to attract outside attention.
I think at least the school can do is not look too run down. If it is too shabby, parents will send their children to other schools, as they may feel that this school's resources are insufficient.
However, the final decision that parents make when it comes to where they want to send their children to study still involves the level of hardware resources and teachers at the school. While today's school buildings are bright and beautiful, not too long ago, teachers and students went through a dark period together. Walls were cracked and there was a big crack in the connecting joints with the floor. Classrooms saw floor subsidence and tilting, making everyone uneasy during class.
I discovered that a student put a ball on the floor and it rolled towards the door.
Someone could trip over a creek, but some water will leak frequently.
The school is located on a hillside, and there's a problem with stratum subsidence, so the corridor tilts and the beams and columns are cracked.
After an expert appraisal, the school structure was compromised and there was a recommendation to demolish and rebuild. The Miaoli County government put forth a budget in excess of $300,000 for the project, but it didn't find a successful tender. Just as the project seemed doomed in the public bidding process, there was a turning point.
So we went through the Miaoli County government to ask for assistance from the Tzu Chi Foundation.
As it turned out, the Tzu Chi Foundation had just launched two projects to assist dangerous school buildings, the Project Hope and Project Hope of Disaster Risk Reduction. Daochao Junior High hoped it could apply for reconstruction funding from the latter project.
Tzu Chi's Project Hope, which everyone is more familiar with, comes from our experience with the 9/21 earthquake. In addition to collapsed residential buildings, the number of collapsed schools was also very alarming.
The 9/21 earthquake caused severe ground shaking, which destroyed many school buildings. Tzu Chi Foundation launched Project Hope to assist in reconstruction of 51 schools in 4 counties and cities, including Nantou and Taichung, with a total funding of $9.08 billion, and mobilizing 230,000 Tzu Chi volunteers joined in turn. Actually, Tzu Chi's Project Hope of Disaster Risk Reduction originated after Typhoon Morakot and was a preventive construction aid project. A total of 5 counties and cities saw 26 distressed schools receiving assistance with a total funding of 2.9 billion NT dollars.
Master said something that was very important. It was an inspiration to all of us. Don't wait for disasters like the 9/21 earthquake. When disaster strikes, we will provide help again.
Coming to Pingdong in southern Taiwan, when we look up, we are surrounded by mountains. This is Gaotai Junior High School, where most of the students are indigenous. Music and sports are the focus of this school. After the sixth period, when the school bell rings, students in the physical education class move quickly and board a school bus and depart to a baseball field. Wearing the number 1 uniform, Lin Guanming is a model student on the baseball team. He dreams of becoming a national team player.
In the future, I hope to first test into Pingdong High School.
After sweating for 3 hours, the practice is now over. When it gets dark, everyone is talking and laughing, returning to the dormitory to prepare for dinner. Lin Guanming's dream was playing baseball. Because he lives far away since joining the team since elementary school, he's had to live on campus.
If I didn't stay in this dormitory, the way that I would have to travel to school would be taking a bus to Pingdong bus station, then transferring to another bus to Kaohsiung Township, which would take 2.5 hours.
After years of living on campus, this dormitory is like his second home.
Because I stay in the dormitory since elementary school, I'm used to this.
The current dormitory was only complete in 2016. The old dormitory was more than 50 years old. Typhoon Morakot led the school to be flooded and covered with silt. Eventually had to be demolished and rebuilt.
Another building was built at the back of a Gaotai Junior High, their own dormitory. It's also the best in Pingdong because each room is a suite and sleeps just 8 people.
Thanks to Project Cope of Disaster Risk Reduction, a new dormitory was born with a classroom and dining room on the first floor and weight training room, which is the favorite of the students. Although they are physical education students, the students are required to study in the evening. The coach said that these junior high school students have a long road ahead of them and their grades cannot suffer.
Just because they are in a physical education class, they can see their education suffer, so they are slowly fall too far behind the average students.
After 8:30 in the evening, it is free time for them. Because their room is a suite, they don't have to line up to bathe, as this dorm has a relaxed atmosphere.
你就住高宿啊？对啊。那你应该本来是可以不用住校。对啊。那你为什么会来？我不想住在家。是你不想，还是你父母不想你住在家？我不想住在家。
Here there is laughter, friendship, and a good environment for these young children who are the future of Taiwan sports. Many are spending their golden years in the small rural school, which has become a cradle, fostering many baseball dreams.
While the confirmed COVID cases has reached a new high in Malaysia recently, Tzu Chi volunteers hurried to a village in Sabah to distribute food to the villagers who are about to go hungry. We'll leave you with these images. Thank you and see you next time.